Hi everyone, welcome back to Black Cat Kitchen. I'm Daniela, and today I'm going to show you how to make my Nonno's pasta fagioli. This recipe is so special to me, and the reason why is it's the last recipe I ever made with my Nonno. He was such a special person in my life. He really encouraged me to try new things and really push my flavors outside of the box. But the most important thing that he taught me about food is that simple ingredients treated with respect and love always make a beautiful dish. And that's the magic behind Italian cooking. So let's jump into it.
You'll find a list of ingredients and measurements in the description below. Finely chop half an onion. We want this to dissolve in the soup. We don't want big onion chunks. I've left the skin on the back of the onion to act as a little handle. This helps get the most yield out of your onion. First, cut vertical slices, then cut horizontally on a diagonal as though you're cutting the rays of the sun. Slice down the front of your onion and you'll have perfect little pieces. I like to run my knife over the whole thing to make sure they're extra fine. To a large pot, add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Turn the heat to medium-high and let that come up to temperature. Then add in your onions. We're not looking to caramelize our onions, we just want them to add their sweetness to the soup. Season your onions with a little bit of salt, just to help draw out the water.
I'm using 2 cans of cannellini beans. That's about 500 grams once they're cooked. Now, my Nonno used to grow his own beans and dry them, and then he would boil them and freeze them in bags. You can make this recipe using beans that you've soaked overnight and that you've slowly boiled so they're nice and tender. But canned will work too. And you've got a few options. You can use borlotti or romano, any light colored bean that you can find.
Once your onions are cooked, add in your beans and then swiftly add in your jar of sauce, about 700 grams. Gently stir your beans so that all of the sauce coats them. This will help to protect them so that they don't fall apart when the soup is cooking. Using your passata jar to measure, add 1.5 jars of water to the pot. This will act as the cooking liquid for the pasta.
I like to add in the rind of a piece of Parmigiano Reggiano while it's cooking. This really infuses the flavor, but it's not necessary.
Pop the lid on and let it come up to a simmer.
My Nonno's favorite pasta for this recipe were ditali. They're tiny little tubes, about this big, and they really plump up in the sauce, and sometimes the beans even get stuck inside them, and that's a special bite. You can use any small pasta, and actually the little shells work really well in this recipe too.
Once you start to get bubbles breaking the top of the soup, it's time to add in your pasta. I'm using 250 grams. Give that a stir and let it simmer for another 5 minutes. Make sure you're stirring regularly so that your pasta doesn't stick to the bottom. Now that it's simmered a little, I'm going to season. You'll want to add in a few good pinches of salt because the passata and the water have no seasoning. Then turn the temperature down to low, give it another stir, and pop the lid on. After 20 minutes, remove your lid. Give it a good stir and test your pasta to make sure it's the right consistency. Then fish out your rind of Parmigiano Reggiano. Sprinkle in about 1/4 cup of Parmigiano Reggiano. This helps finish off the seasoning. I've reserved a little bit of the cheese to go on top of our soup.
This recipe can be made completely vegan just by omitting the cheese. You might just need to adjust the salt levels.
Now's the perfect time to taste to adjust the seasonings. Scoop yourself up a big bowl of pasta fagioli. Top it with that leftover Parmigiano Reggiano and just a sprinkling of parsley. Enjoy!
This recipe makes a lot of pasta fagioli, but I like to keep it in the fridge and allow that pasta to really absorb the flavors. It becomes almost like a stew when it's like this, but if you like it a little bit thinner, just add some water before heating it back up again. This will keep in the fridge for at least a few days, and you can heat it up in the microwave or in a pot on the stove, whatever is your preferred method. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're looking for more traditional Italian recipes, check out my Nonna's meatball recipe. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you love this soup, please give it a big thumbs up. We'll see you in the next video.